Harinam Sankirtan ki Ramdas Matarotam ki Tainita Gold all glorious to be some of the devotees, all glorious to be some of the devotees, all glorious to be some of the devotees, all glorious to Sri Guru to Sri Gauranga, all glorious to Sri Guru. We have Bhagavatam. Can we have Bhagavatam?
Well, we had actually the whole Bhagavatam set.
Yeah.
We have given to the ISKCON Sanu temple after we came to Bali. So then we felt it will be more useful there. So not in book form, but actually I have in my hands.
I thought you can be my application. Om Ajnanatirandasya Gyananjana Dakshuryantamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Prabhu Nishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Dhanamahyam Tadati Shotantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Bhagavan Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sarvajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadunam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Madam Sahagana Lalita Shri Sakamikam Cha Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabhalo Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakam Sahorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Shri Devi Pranamame Vansyadana Vyasya Kripa Sindhu Jayavasa Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Shaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam
Tato Jaya Mudire.
Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesha Bhadreshu
Nasta Prayesha Bhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavati Tamashloki
Bhagavati Tamasloke
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki
Bhaktir Bhati Deshiki.
By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically the nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, it becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama
Idam Bhagavatam Nama
Puranam Brahma Samhitam
Puranam Brahma Samhitam
Shloka Charitam
Tamasloka Charitam
Chakara Bhagavan Rishi
Chakara Bhagavan Rishi
Nishreyasaya Lokasya
Nishreyasaya Lokasya
Dhanyam Swasya Namaha
Dhanyam Swasya Namaha.
This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya
Sri Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda
Prabhu Nityananda
Sri Advaita Gadadhara
Sri Advaita Gadadhara
Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Rama
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Sarabhyaya Namaha.
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha.
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha.
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Mukam karoti vacharam pangum gayate Yadvipatamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataram Yadvipatamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataram. Hare Krishna.
Hare
So we will actually continue from the verse we read yesterday at the Sri Sri Radha Gopinath. That was the beginning of the second, probably have it, yeah, second canto, chapter number 1, text number 2. Let's see here. So canto 2, chapter 1, and text 2. Srotavyadini
Srotavyadini
Rajendra
Rajendra
Rinam
Shanti
Sahasrashaha
Sahasrashaha
Apashyantam
Apashyantam Atma Tattvam Griheshu Griha Medhinam
Srotavyadini Rajendra Rinam Santi Sahasrashaha
Rinam Santi Sahasrashaha
Apashyatam Atmatattvam
Apashyatam Atmatattvam
Griheshu Grihamedhinam
Griheshu Grihamedhinam
Srotavyadini Rajendra
Srotavyadini Rajendra
Rinam Santi Sahasrashaha
Nrinam Santi Sahasrashaha
Nrinam Santi Sahasrashaha
Nrinam Santi Sahasrashaha
Apashyatam Atmatattvam
Apashyatam Atmatattvam
Griheshu Grihamedhinam
Griheshu Grihamedhinam
Srotavyadini Rajendra
Srotavyadini Rajendra
Nrinam Santi Sahasrashaha
Nrinam Santi Sahasrashaha
Apashyatam Atmatattvam
Apashyatam Atmatattvam
Griheshu Grihamedhinam
Griheshu Grihamedhinam Srotavyadini Rajendra Nrinam Santi Sahasrashaha Apashyatam Atmatattvam Grihesu Grihamedhinam
Srotavyadini Rajendra
Srotavyadini Rajendra
Rinam Santi Sahasrashaha
Nrinam Santi Sahasrashaha
Apashyatam Atmatattvam
Apashyatam Atmatattvam
Grihesu Grihamedhinam
Griheshu Grihamedhinam
Avum Ji
Srotavyadini Rajendra
Srotavyadini Rajendra
Rinam Santi Sahasrashaha
Nrinam Santi Sahasrashaha
Apashyantam Atmatattvam
Apashyatam Atmatattvam
Griheshu
Griheshu
Grihamedhinam
Grihamedhinam
Shrotatatvavidhaini Rajendra
Srotavyadini Rajendra
Nimam Shanti Sahasraha
Nrinam Santi Sahasrashaha
Apashyatam Atmatattvam
Apashyatam Atmatattvam
Griheshu Grihamedhinam
Griheshu Grihamedhinam.
This will be an English class.
Yes.
Harus belajar
Ya.
bahasa Inggris.
Yes, Guru.
Okay, Srotavyadini.
Srotavyadini.
Subject matters
Subject matters
for hearing.
for hearing.
Rajendra.
Rajendra,
O Emperor.
O Emperor,
Nrinam.
Nrinam
Of human society.
of human society.
Santi.
Shanti,
There are.
there are
Sahasrashaha.
Sahasrashaha,
Hundreds and thousands.
hundreds and thousands.
Apashyatam.
Apashyatam
Of the blind.
of the blind.
Atmatattvam.
Atmatattvam,
Knowledge of self.
knowledge of self.
The ultimate truth.
The ultimate truth.
Griheshu.
Griheshu,
At home.
at home.
Grihamedhinam.
Grihamedhinam,
Of persons too materially engrossed.
of persons who materially engrossed.
Translations. Purport by Divine Grace C.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Srila Prabhupada.
Ki Jai.
Those persons who are materially engrossed, being blind to the knowledge of ultimate truth, have many subject matters for hearing in human society. O Emperor, Kindly repeat after me. Those persons
Those persons
who are materially engrossed,
who are materially engrossed,
being blind
being blind
to the knowledge
to the knowledge
of ultimate truth,
of ultimate truth,
have many subject matters
have many subject matters
for hearing
for hearing
in human society.
in human society.
O Emperor,
O Emperor,
report. In the revealed scriptures, there are two nomenclatures for the householder's life. One is Grihastha and the other is Grihamedhi. The Grihasthas are those who live together with wife and children, but live transcendentally for realizing the ultimate truth. The Grihamedhis, however, are those who live only for the benefit of the family members, extended or centralized, and thus are envious of others. The word medhi indicates jealousy of others. The Grihamedhis, being interested in family affairs only, are certainly envious of others. Therefore, one Grihamedhi is not on good terms with another Grihamedhi. And in the extended form, one community, society, or nation is not on good terms with another counterpart of selfish interest. In the age of Kali, all the householders are jealous of one another because they are blind to the knowledge of ultimate truth. They have many subject matters for hearing: political, scientific, social, economic, and so on. But due to a four-fund of knowledge, they set aside the question of the ultimate miseries of life, namely miseries of birth, death, old age, and disease. Factually, the human life is meant for making an ultimate solution to birth, death, old age, and disease. But the Grihamedhis, being illusioned by the material nature, forget everything about self-realization. The ultimate solution to the problems of life is to go back home, back to Godhead, and thus, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 8:15, the miseries of material existence, birth, death, old age, and disease, are removed. The process of going back home, back to Godhead, is to hear about the Supreme Lord and His name, form, attributes, pastimes, paraphernalia, and variegatedness. The foolish people do not know this. They want to hear something about the name, form, etc. of everything temporary. And they do not know how to utilize this propensity of hearing for the ultimate good. Misguided as they are, they also create some false literatures about the name, form, attributes, etc. of the ultimate truth. One should not, therefore, become a Grihamedhi simply to exist for envying others. One should become a real householder in terms of scriptural injunctions. Translation again. Those persons who are materially engrossed, being blind to the knowledge of ultimate truth, have many subject matters for hearing in human society, O Emperor. So this is the beginning of the second canto, which is entitled The Cosmic Manifestation, and the first chapter of this second canto, which is entitled The First Step in God Realization. It is an ongoing conversation between two great personalities, namely Sri Shukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. Just to situate the context, we know how Parikshit Maharaj had been cursed by a young Brahmana boy. He had been cursed to die within 7 days. Our acharyas indicate that actually, in a similar way, we will also pass within 7 days. Either Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. There are only 7 days in a week. And therefore, the measures taken by Parikshit Maharaj, basically when he heard that he was going to die within 7 days, he retired from his duties and responsibilities as a king, and he went to the banks of the Ganges. At that time, the Ganga was flowing near Hastinapur, New Delhi. Because the Ganges moves a lot, so that's like 5,000 years ago. And being the emperor of the world, of course, the news spread very quickly, and so many other kings and various personalities, including many sages and sadhus. It mentions how Srila Vyasadeva was there, Narada Muni was there, Bhrigu Maharaj was there, other such saintly, very elevated personalities. And Parikshit Maharaj was asking those who were present, how should I prepare myself to leave this body? Because leaving our body generally happens only once in a life. Sometimes it happens twice, you know? Sometimes people, they die twice. You know that?
Coma.
No, they actually leave the body, but they come back. Yeah. Anyways, I won't. A few interesting stories about that. But so Parikshit Maharaj, like this, he was thinking, okay, what I should be doing. And then at that time, one young boy, 16 years of age, who was walking surrounded by many women and children, because he was having long hair and he was naked and he was walking around. So, but when he came to that assembly, everyone recognized that this is not an ordinary person, and that was of course Shukadeva Goswami. And immediately all the sages, everyone there present, it mentions except Vyasadeva, except Narada Muni, they got up to offer their respects and they gave him the Vyasasana. You kindly speak. So he sat on the Vyasasana, and this was described in the previous chapter that Parikshit Maharaj, of course, recognized, as the others did, that this was the right person that Krishna is sending. And so, in the previous chapter, Parikshit Maharaj is asking many, many questions. And this described how asking questions of a spiritual nature are very important, so that you can properly understand what to do, especially the main question that Parikshit Maharaj was asking to Shukadeva Goswami, what is the best thing I should do to prepare myself to leave the body? And then in this chapter, actually the first reply or the first statement made by Shukadeva Goswami was that you're asking a very pertinent question, and such questions are in themselves glorious because they help us to discuss subject matters that are most important and most relevant, and that have to do actually with our eternal our eternal self, our actual eternal existence. And so in this way, this whole conversation will is in the early stages. So the text today, of course, is Prabhupada in the purport is explaining the difference between Grihamedhi and Grihastha. Grihamedhi are generally those who are not interested in spiritual subject matters, but are rather simply after material pursuits, and they are very busy, just like majority of people in the world today are so busy they have no time. They have no time to to hear about Krishna Katha. Actually, this whole chapter will be introducing especially the need and the importance for everyone, especially Grihastha, especially those in householder life. Prabhupada one time explained how Grihasthas, because generally brahmacharis, they live in ashram. Sannyasis also, but Grihasthas, they live at home. So the tendency at home is to be involved in so many different preoccupations and to kind of sometimes lose sight or have less time. So Prabhupada would explain that especially for householders, they should be hearing again and again and again and constantly again and again subject matters in relation to Krishna Katha. The basis being, of course, and this has been highlighted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that in Kali Yuga, the most easy method is to take up the chanting the holy name. So the Yuga Dharma actually, for these of Kali, is the chanting of the holy name. And the most important literature to be hearing from is what Srila Prabhupada has introduced in all of our temples. And the books that you have given away is to be hearing from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam, according to our Vaishnava Acharyas, is considered to be even more important than hearing the original Vedas. Because the original Vedas are, most of them, not available. You know, when Srila Vyasadeva putting into writing the Vedic knowledge 5,000 years ago, this is also nicely explained in the Bhagavatam, seeing and understanding that Kali Yuga would begin, seeing and understanding that people in Kali Yuga would have very short life, would have very short memory, would have less intelligence, would have in this way many shortcomings. So he collected all the knowledge and put in written form, culminating in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam is described as the Amalam Puranam, the Amala Puranam, the spotless, pure, transcendental literature. Of all the different Puranas, there are 18 main Puranas, and the Srimad Bhagavatam is like described as, we say, Grantha Raj, the king. Sri Rajiv Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis, who was appointed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to do research in Vrindavan, in the Shastra. He establishes the Srimad Bhagavatam not only as Grantha Raj, as king, but he uses the word emperor. King is king, but emperor is like above. Emperor, because India, previously we come to know from Shastra, India actually used to rule the world. We hear of personalities like Yudhishthira Maharaj and so many other great personalities. They were ruling the entire world. They seem somewhat inconceivable, but actually we find many evidence and remnants of Vedic culture, as you know, in different parts of the world. It's quite interesting. So, but now because it is Kali Yuga, it is much more difficult. That the whole Vedic culture has been, in many ways, we could say, damaged or reduced, and even in India, due to the influence of Kali Yuga, so many people have been attracted to the modern ways of living, modern philosophy of life, which to a large extent is what's that expression? Drink, eat, and be merry. Something like that. Majority of people and majority of governments in the world, they are their understanding is that if we can make nice facility, nice arrangement for everyone, then people will be happy. But happiness is not based on material comfort. Actual happiness, and this is explained of course in the Shastra, actual happiness comes when we understand things of a spiritual nature. Means when we understand that we are not this body, but rather the spirit soul, and what is meant to be the business of the spirit soul, and what is our ultimate destination. So that was the question of Parikshit Maharaj. And personalities like Shukadeva Goswami, who are constantly absorbed in spiritual subject matters, because that is their nature. They are self-realized souls. They already have attained what is called, as mentioned here, Atma Tattva. The goal of life is to attain Tattva. Tattva means to understand the science of the soul, Atma Tattva, Atma Gyan, knowledge of the soul, knowledge of the self, self-realization, and and mold our lives in such a way that we don't forget what is the primary goal of life, and therefore most important is to be hearing from the Shastra, to be hearing from personalities. We get our knowledge from three sources. What are the three sources of knowledge? Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And we can, in this way, there's a check and balance. What saintly person say naturally should be supported by Shastra and by the spiritual masters. So spiritual master, Guru and Sadhu. Parikshit Maharaj was very fortunate to come in contact with a rare personality like Shukadeva Goswami. And Shukadeva Goswami therefore spoke for the first time this knowledge that he himself had received from his father, Srila Vyasadeva. And actually at that meeting there was in olden days, in previous days, important meetings, what was considered important meeting was when sadhus would come together to discuss spiritual topics, just like Kumbh Mela. These are like special meetings that happen at a particular time, according to constellation and whatnot, every 12 years, Kumbh Mela. And so, at that same time when Parikshit Maharaj became cursed, that was soon after, not so many years after Krishna actually left the planet. So, not only Srila Vyasadeva, but so many other sadhus understood that, okay, Krishna left the planet and we're in the beginning of Kali Yuga. So there was another meeting in Naimisharanya, and there was one person by the name of Sutta Goswami. So there's Shukadeva Goswami, who's the son of Srila Vyasadeva, and then there's Sutta Goswami, who was in Naimisharanya, and because Kali Yuga had already begun, the yajna they were trying to perform was not going well. The fire was not igniting, and everyone became covered with smoke. So the Sutta Goswami decided, okay, I'm going to go. He left that place, and somehow he traveled to Delhi. At that time, Hastinapur. And so he just happened to arrive when this whole conversation between Shukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. So he heard the Srimad Bhagavatam as spoken for the first time by Shukadeva Goswami, and then afterwards he returned. Sutta Goswami returned to Naimisharanya, and he spoke the Srimad Bhagavatam for the second time. And now the Srimad Bhagavatam, since 5,000 years, is being spoken in Guru Parampara, the cyclic succession. And it is the special feature of our Vaishnav Gaudiya Sampradaya to be especially focused on the Srimad Bhagavatam. Because the Srimad Bhagavatam is addressing, as would be nicely narrated actually by Shukadeva Goswami, is actually directly addressing what is the essence of the Bhagavatam, which is what is the essence of life. The essence of the Bhagavatam is teaching us about the science of bhakti, or the science of devotion, which is especially awakened within us when we regularly hear such subject matters, especially in the association of devotees. Krishna Bhakti Janmamul Hoy Sadhu Sangha. By Sadhu Sangha, the awakening of bhakti, which is actually within everyone's heart, becomes manifest. And bhakti is only possible when we somehow take some time to associate with people who are practicing bhakti. And by this practice of bhakti, then this is nicely explained in the first canto. Evam prasana manaso bhagavat bhakti yogataha bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sanghasya jayate. One will actually become liberated from the material world. One will be able to attain Goloka, Vrindavan, the spiritual world, by this process, or by the activities of bhakti. Bhakti is only possible, pure bhakti is only possible when we become situated in evam prasana manaso, when the mind actually becomes situated in what we call the mode of goodness. That's also mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. Brahma prasanatma asojati nakansati samasarveshu bhuteshu bhakti bhavate param. So the mind can only be peaceful when we are no longer hankering or for something that we think we are lacking, or when we are no longer lamenting for things that we have lost. It's a stage of consciousness which is only possible when one focuses on what is called the science of Atma Tattva. So, by the practice of bhakti, Bhagavat Bhakti Yogataha, then Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam. This stage of Vijnanam actually is very important. Ordinary people, even without spirituality, they can cultivate, they can learn, they can have jnanam, some knowledge. But Vijnanam is of a different nature. Vijnanam is actually something that Krishna, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenama upayatite. This Vijnanam actually comes from Krishna. Knowledge is actually there within every living entity, because by nature we are Satchit Ananda. Krishna, he is described, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchit Ananda Vigraha. Living entity is also having these three features of Sat, being eternal, Chit, being full of knowledge, and Ananda, which is what all of us are hankering for. We all want to be happy. But happiness, what are the three kinds of happiness? Tigamacham Bahagya. Three kinds of happiness that one can experience. Most people experience only one. Those who are a bit more fortunate, they will experience two. And those who are most fortunate, they will experience the third and the highest one, which is beyond the first and the second. The first level of happiness, which is for the majority of people, is called material happiness. which is of course available for other species of life also. You know, when an animal eats, he feels satisfied and happy. When he is tired and takes rest, he also feels happy. So material happiness is there for all species of life, and unfortunately those who in the human form don't cultivate spiritual life, they are only situated on the level of material happiness. What are the activities of material happiness? Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Yeah. So Shastra explains that higher than material happiness is spiritual happiness. When we begin to understand, okay, there must be something else. So people begin to cultivate transcendental knowledge, you know, that, so Aham Brahmasmi is the beginning actually. Aham Brahmasmi, I am spirit soul, is the beginning of, we could say, transcendence. But that, unless one goes beyond that, to come to the third level is called, what is the third level? And the level of happiness that is explained especially in books such as Srimad Bhagavatam, Nectar of Devotion. It is called devotional happiness. So material happiness, spiritual happiness, and devotional happiness. So devotional happiness is only exclusively for those who know about seva, bhakti. Bhakti, the essence of bhakti is to, we call devotional service. Service means seva. Bhakti, pure bhakti, is, of course, that is the subject matter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, is also described, like in the first canto, the highest level. Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo, the Param Dharma, for all living entities. Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo, Yato Bhakti Radhokchage, Ahaituki Pratihata, Egatma Suprasidati. Ahaituki Pratihata, without material motivation, doing seva, devotion, without material expectation, without material motivation, and also without interruption, constantly being engaged in such activities, then yena chatma prasidati, one's needs and necessities of life will be cared for automatically. So bhakti, of course, is that process that leads us ultimately to the level of full self-realization. Yeah. Bhakti leads to pure love, prema. That is also in the Nectar Devotion. Very important book. You've read the Nectar Devotion?
Yeah, like partially, Maharaj. Yeah. I'm not finished it. I'll be honest. Yeah.
One of the four most important books given to us by Srila Prabhupada. I mean, it's the Nectar Devotion is explaining the complete science of bhakti. Again, the same, yeah. And there it mentions about 3 levels of bhakti.
Material happiness.
Sadhana bhakti.
3 level of bhakti.
Sadhana. Sadhana bhakti. Everyone we begin as sadhana bhakti means following certain rules and regulations. Then from sadhana bhakti, after some time, when we become situated in the mode of goodness, then mode of goodness means not so much influenced by rajas and tamas. Yeah? So we become in sattvic, sattva guna. So that is sadhana bhakti will take us to that level. Then from sadhana bhakti we come to bhava bhakti. Bhava bhakti, preliminary sentiments, preliminary emotions of a transcendental nature will begin to manifest, and then from Bhava Bhakti, one in due course of time will come to the destination or the ultimate level, which is called Prema Bhakti. Prema Bhakti, developing one's pure love for Krishna. So these subject matters are, of course, very nicely explained by personalities like Shukadeva Goswami, who will be in this way answering the various questions of Parikshit Maharaj. So I think the English class this morning for Agun might have been already quite full. I think he's not accustomed to hearing only English. Can follow something?
Yes.
Yeah. Anyways, sometimes we have to get
When
like
he finished,
full dose.
he finished Bhakti Sastri.
Huh?
Finished Bhakti Sastri. Already finished Bhakti Sastri.
Hmm?
Already finished Bhakti Sastri.
Oh, he did Bhakti Shastri, yeah. So he can relate to
Bhakti Vibhava.
Bhakti Rasamrita
Mm.
Singh. Yeah,
And
we
the
have
Bhakti Shastri class in Gyanya or
No.
in Mayapur?
No, brother Rasiswa.
Oh.
yeah.
Local.
Berapa lama? 3 bulan? 6 bulan? 6 bulan, 6 months. Yeah, different places. They give also online Bhakti Shastri, and it's of a different duration of time. Good morning. Hare Krishna.
I will sing you.
Well then, you've been busy.
Yes, because we have to go and it should be quick, but in case we get late,
Yeah,
then I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, he was mentioning that.
Yeah.
We were just mentioning how in the verse this morning that householders have many things to do.
That's me.
Voilà.
Yes.
Yeah, the first step, this is the title of this particular chapter. And so Bhagavatam actually has many such basically conversations between usually two great personalities. Like later on in the Bhagavatam, Narada Muni happens to be visiting Yudhisthira Maharaj. Yudhisthira Maharaj is a householder, but he's very exalted personality. And Yudhisthira Maharaj naturally is very happy when Narada Muni happens to visit his place. So he takes that opportunity to ask him a whole bunch of questions also. and Narada Muni, in 5 chapters, he explains the whole subject matter about Varnashrama Dharma. So in the Bhagavatam, that particular section deals with in more detail. So anyways, different subjects are covered. That's why the Bhagavatam, somehow you need to bring back the Bhagavatam.
Yeah, you would suggest actually, when we shifted to Bali, we felt, I'll be honest, one is we were not reading regularly in Jakarta. And I asked Prabhu Samudra Sena, do you have English Bhagavatam? He said no, and he was very happy to have it. So I said, maybe we keep it there, and when we have to go, we can read it in the temple also. So for the time being, we blended it there. Yeah. Probably I think one chanto by chanto we can bring it there.
We
also.
have the Hindi, we still have a version that is in 2 big books.
Yeah.
So we are not without Bhagavad. Yeah,
So we normally, take a few minutes.
Mhm.
Close to Hanukkah. If there's any comment or question on what we have discussed.
So then,
If there's any comment or
Mhm.
question on
Mhm.
what we have,
Mhm.
briefly discussed.
One thing I was reflecting during the listening is that you mentioned 3 forms of bhakti. What is 3 forms of happiness? 3 forms of happiness.
Yeah, 3 times of
Material happiness.
3 times, 3 levels of bhakti.
3 levels of 3 types of happiness, probably. Yeah. The material happiness, spiritual happiness, and devotional. Devotional, right? So I'm just curious. So finally, the devotional happiness comes from the blessings of Guru and Krishna. Is that assumption? There?
Yes, even spiritual happiness comes from Guru, but there are many kinds of Guru.
Mhm.
Specifically, we speak about devotional happiness as being the highest level because it is only when we speak of devotion, we speak of bhakti, and bhakti from a Vaishnava perspective is like exclusively for those who know about Krishna, because bhakti comes from Krishna. In other words, the majority of people who practice spiritual life, wherever that may be, and of course, majority of people, like India is known as a special place of spirituality since time immemorial. But the majority of people who practice spirituality, I would say, majority know about Krishna, but not the majority know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's a big difference. It's like we know about, in India especially, there's so many exalted personalities, so many incarnations, etc. The unique feature of the Bhagavatam is that it is that Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, both, that's why they remain the most important literatures for the Vaishnava devotees. They clearly establish Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, that Krishna, because in India most people, their understanding is that there is Narayan. From Narayan everyone comes, including Krishna. Krishna is an incarnation of Narayan. Majority of people in India. In our Vaishnava Sampradaya, because the Goswamis of Vrindavan, I was mentioning earlier, were deputed by Lord Chaitanya to be in Vrindavan, to deepen, to really go deep in the subject matter of Shastra. And they wrote very extensively, and they established that Krishna, by so many writings are there, so many references are there, that Krishna is actually the original, he is the source of all incarnation. There are various references, not only in Srimad Bhagavatam, but in other Shastras also. See, that makes a big difference because most people, it's like vague, you know. In one sense, you don't want to offend anyone, so you know of course we should also give respect to all these different personalities, but at the same time, it's important to know that there's a certain hierarchy. That's the subject, a very deep subject matter of what we call tattva. Tattva means what is the ultimate truth. So, just like there's one of a number of verses, Vedanti tattva vidam tattvam vyas jnanamadvayam brahmiti paramatmiti bhagavan iti subjete. That the subject matter of tattva is meant to be understood on three levels. Brahman, impersonal level, then Paramatma means localized presence of the Lord in the heart, the Lord in the heart. And then Bhagavan. Bhagavan is referring to the supreme personality of Godhead, one who possesses in full all the opulences. God, it is described, has 64 opulences, 4 of which are unique to Krishna. Only Krishna has 4 qualities that others don't have. So like this, there are different references that are establishing. So unless one actually knows about bhakti, pure bhakti, then one cannot return to the spiritual world, isn't it? These are quite involved subject matters, of course, and they are especially in detail elaborated upon in these 2 books I mentioned, Nectar of Devotion and Srimad Bhagavatam, and of course Bhagavad Gita. And then there's a 4th book. I don't know if you've had this book or not. It's a series of books. It's called the Chaitanya Charitamrita. 17 books actually, dealing with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Actually, when I joined as a devotee, coming from the Western world, you know, it's hard enough to accept that Krishna is God. You know, that there is, that God, well, for many people, just the fact, you know, to come to that understanding that God exists is a big one. I mean, you know, that's a big level, yeah. Then higher than that, to accept that, well, God, not only does God exist, but God is a person. Of course, not a person like us, but God is a person, but everything about God is completely transcendental. We say Satchitananda Vigraha. He has form. We have form. We have personality. God can't have. Can't be without also form and personality. Yeah. I mean, even in the Bible, it mentions how man is created at the image and at the form of God. But in the Bible, it doesn't mention about what is the form of God, isn't it? Nor does it mention what is the name. Lord Jesus does not mention.
Son of a God. Just mention the Son of a God, yeah.
So, so to understand that God is like, it's a major level, then to understand that God is a person is another major level. And then I was still a new devotee. I had made up my mind to join as a full-time devotee. That's exactly actually like 50 years ago, 1974, my 50th anniversary. But then after staying in the temple for a few months, I had my best friend had invited me to his wedding. and I had promised that yes, I'll attend your wedding. He didn't know I was becoming a devotee, so I was purposely not shaving my hair. You know, I was still having hair. So, and then I went to his wedding. On the way to his wedding, I stopped in Toronto at the temple, and it happened to be Gaur Purnima, you know, and they put on the play of Lord Chaitanya. So then I didn't, you know, as a new devotee, Lord Chaitanya, you know, who is Lord Chaitanya? So then I remember, oh my God, you know, I just have come to accept that Krishna is God. Now I have to accept that Lord Chaitanya. Because that's very elaborately explained in this book called Chaitanya Charitamrita. So these are, you know, when we start discussing about tattva, they are what we call esoteric subject matters that are quite subtle, quite fine, quite refined. So it takes some time to kind of address such topics. But anyways, obviously, I overcame that. I'm still here. So yeah, that's okay. Shukr.
Thank you.
Jai Glantaraj Prabhupada.
Jai.
That was the first time I danced in Kirtan in Toronto.